So inside your camera, there's a thing called a shutter. When you press the top button on your camera, that shutter opens and closes and captures your image. While the shutter is open, light is taken into the camera, and then when it closes, it stops, and you've caught a moment in time. You can change the speed of this camera on most DSLRs and now some point and shoot. You're going to see some numbers on the back of the camera. It'll be 1 over something or a solid number. If it's say 1 over 50, that means that the shutter will be open for 1/50th of a second. If it says 1 over 100, it'll be open for 100th of a second. If a shutter just says a single number like 1, 2, or 5, it's going to be open for 1, 2, or 5 seconds. So the length of time the shutter is open will change two things. 1, the motion in your image, and 2, the brightness in your image. The longer it stays open, the brighter your image will be, and the shorter it stays open, the darker it will be, because when it stays open longer, it takes in more light. Using the shutter is one of the ways to expose your image properly. If you set it at the right adjustment, it will be exposed correctly and not be too bright or too dark. The other problem is this affects the motion in your image. If it's open for too long, it's going to pick up motion or things moving around in the frame. So if you open the shutter for 1 second, it's going to take in 1 second worth of movement. If you do it for 1/1000th of a second, it'll take in 1/1000th of a second movement, which is a lot shorter. So if you're moving something in motion, you're going to want it to be a quicker shutter, while if you're shooting something that's just sitting there and stationary, you can use a longer shutter. You might want to pick up the motion, like maybe you're shooting water, or you want to see the motion of someone walking by, you're going to do a longer shutter. In order to change the shutter to what you want while keeping it exposed correctly, you have to change the two other parts of the exposure triangle, that is aperture and ISO. I'll be talking about this in separate videos. Hopefully this made sense and you understand what shutter speed is now. If it still doesn't make sense, make sure to let me know.